even while getting both overrated and underrated at the same time. Indiana rode Tyrese Haliburton's aggressive scoring early on, and with their bench totally outplaying the other side, they took the series lead. Now they're aiming for that third win at home to get closer to the finals. Meanwhile, Oklahoma looked flat in the clutch last game, and losing today would seriously hurt their championship hopes. Isaiah Hartenstein back in the starting lineup. OKC started Hartenstein again, which showed they were betting on his size more than worried about his defense. But Indiana attacked the two big lineup with speed from the start. Haliburton found Nembhard with a sweet pass for a three.
Nembhard back up top, way outside is good from Haliburton.
Then nailed a logo shot to light up the highlight reel early. Indiana wanted this to be a shootout, and that's exactly what it became. Even though it was early, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hadn't made his presence felt yet, and the Pacers had already dropped 20 points just 5 minutes in. Indiana kept hitting corner threes, OKC's weak spot, which made a big difference. Plus, Obi Toppin came off the bench mixing floaters and jumpers and helped the Pacers win the bench battle again. Indiana's second unit had already owned Game 3. The bright spot for OKC was Jalen Williams staying aggressive. Indiana managed to slow down Gilgeous-Alexander, but the refs calling soft fouls started to mess with their pressure defense.
It was Jason Terry, 2011, for the Dallas Mavericks, coached by Rick Carlisle.
Well, Arizona has had.
Then Lou Dort shoved Haliburton out of frustration. Definitely could have been a tech. Caruso also got away with a borderline foul off the bench, and Pacers fans were starting to feel the calls weren't going their way. Sure, even the Pacers took advantage of the soft whistles at times. But despite all that momentum, the score was still super close. OKC's best moment came when they turned things around fast, with Shai finally finding his rhythm after struggling against Nembhard's defense. His mid-range game started clicking again, and OKC finally took the lead. The refs weren't doing Indiana any favors to begin with, and now their offense was cooling off. They became the ones chasing. That definitely looked like a foul, don't you think? Things got worse when Toppin, maybe a bit rattled, collided with Caruso and got hit with a flagrant foul. Yikes. Then a ball that clearly touched Caruso last was somehow given to OKC, and the questionable calls just kept coming. To make it worse, Indiana's shooting touch disappeared, letting OKC hang onto their lead.
Williams has 14, and Caruso 11, 3 in double figures for OKC. Beautiful pass again, Darts, and Siakam finishes.
Do you see what I mean about the zip?
But then Haliburton dropped a dime that had the crowd buzzing. Just the spark Indiana needed with their offense stalling. Right after the timeout, Toppin followed up with a putback dunk, so the Pacers avoided letting the game totally slip away. Late in the quarter, Toppin got fouled on a shot, and Dort's dangerous move got called a flagrant. That totally killed the momentum for OKC. Right when it mattered, Haliburton stepped up big time, and the Pacers snatched the momentum back.
Caruso picks him up on the switch. Siakam almost lost it. Haliburton inside, scoop layup, count it, and a foul! Some Haliburton heroics here in the second quarter. And
capping it off with an and one, pure star stuff. Meanwhile, OKC kept bricking their threes. And despite all the struggles, Indiana took the lead. Haliburton wasn't exactly thrilled with the refs either. In the end, OKC gave up their brief lead, though Jalen Williams kept them alive with steady play. Shai still wasn't playing like the star they needed. Even if he did finally start drawing fouls on Nembhard, OKC just couldn't count on their ace being consistent tonight. They were still really struggling to knock down threes, so the game slowly tilted in Indiana's favor.
Nembhard on the drive, back out to Turner, up top, Siakam, straight on three, puts it in.
Then Pascal Siakam hit a smooth trailer three in transition, and the Pacers kept playing their style into the second half. Gilgeous-Alexander was up and down, but still racked up points, so the score never got too out of hand. But the big difference between the teams was the three-point shooting.
Inside, Siakam kicks it out. Obi Toppin, no hesitation. His three-pointer's good. Haliburton in the corner, Toppin another three. Got it! Obi Toppin, back-to-back threes.
Obi Toppin, who had been solid all night, drilled back-to-back threes, and the Pacers were dominating from deep. Haliburton, who'd mostly been passing, shook Caruso for a bucket, helping Indiana hold on to a 2-possession lead. Haliburton sat for rotation late in the quarter, but the Pacers looked solid, keeping the lead without him.
Siakam down the lane, kicks it out inside for Toppin. Largest lead of the game.
Toppin's energy tonight felt like more than just a spark. It was game-changing. Meanwhile, SGA's impact didn't really match his stats. So Indiana held onto their slight lead heading into the fourth. They started the final quarter by turning OKC's mistakes into fast breaks, and it seemed like the Pacers were about to pull away, but then Naismith got into foul trouble, and that changed everything. The flip side, OKC still had plenty of time. The Thunder quickly erased a 10-point deficit, and Indiana's offense totally lost its rhythm under pressure. OKC showed their fight and tied it up. At this point, it felt like the game had just restarted. J-Dub had been battling all game, and OKC wasn't letting up, but SGA turned it over on a huge possession. Nembhard's defense has been clutch tonight. He made up for it with a monster block on a 3, but OKC was still chasing the lead. Haliburton, who hadn't shot a single free throw all game, finally drew one when it mattered most. Still, SGA knew he wasn't playing his best, so he attacked and got Naismith his 5th foul, then buried a clutch 3 to cut the lead to 1.
Gilgeous-Alexander on the drive, pulls back, baseline jumper's good. OKC with their first lead of the second half.
And hit a tough fadeaway to give OKC the lead. Indiana probably thought it should have been an offensive foul, but the real killer was turning it over right out of a timeout. Didn't Dort push him there though. Indiana, who had led most of the game, was now totally slipping. OKC didn't exactly blow them out, but the Pacers' offense went ice cold when it mattered.
SGA. Gilgeous-Alexander spins, turns, shoots, and a foul with 0.3 of a second remaining on the shot clock. More.
SGA drew yet another foul in crunch time, and OKC completely took control of the final quarter. At the heart of it all was SGA finally coming alive when it counted. The Pacers' fourth quarter was brutal. Mathurin even missed all his free throws, and in the end, Indiana basically beat themselves. Mathurin was taking over in the worst way possible. Even though they trailed for most of the game, OKC pulled off a comeback with insane clutch focus. They escaped what could have been a huge disaster. SGA versus Indiana in the clutch was wild. Now OKC has stolen back home court advantage. Honestly, it feels like the momentum completely flipped tonight. Meanwhile, Indiana subbed in Mathurin for Toppin late, and Haliburton stopped looking for his shot again, which really hurt. Most of all, the calls just didn't go their way. StatMuse even called out the refs on Twitter. You can't blame everything on the refs, of course. But yeah, there were a lot of questionable calls against the Pacers. Now they head to OKC for a road game that's got a ton of pressure.
They're going back to Oklahoma City. I think this series is a wrap. I thought tonight was a big deal. For
crap ton of fouls. That's why there were a crap ton of free throws. I thought the refs did a good job tonight. Both teams shot a lot of free throws. It was physical. I don't know.